It is the middle of January. Today is Sunday, January 19th. The Chiefs won their divisional playoff game yesterday. Woohoo! And I'll be watching the Eagles and Buffalo Bill today. It'll be interesting to see who the Chiefs play next weekend. So on to the business at hand. I wanted to pop in here and give you an idea of what my plans are for the remainder of the month, share a couple supply runs with you, and some meal prepping. First up was Publix, because y'all know that's my store. I am here with my first little grocery haul of the new year. We're doing the pantry challenge, and I swore I would not go to the store for the first 2 weeks, and I managed to do that. I just could not hold out until the end of January, so maybe I'll set a new record next year, but I couldn't do it. If you saw my prior video, I ran out of cream. It's a must-have for me right now. So let me spin you around and show you what I got in addition to the cream. Okay, you're probably thinking, wait a second. We're only supposed to buy perishables, but the exception to that rule for me is if something that I buy on the regular goes on a fantastic sale with coupons, I'm not going to pass it up for the sake of a challenge and then feel like an idiot down the road. So that's why you see 4 packages of Sweet Complete here. If you saw a prior video where I was talking about protein powders, etc., and expensive baking supplies, well, these are $7.99 a bag at Publix and close to that at Walmart. My absolute favorite brown sugar replacement. And these were on a BOGO. I also had $2 coupons that I had downloaded from coupons.com. So I got another $8 off. So it was basically like buy 1, get 3 free. So I paid a total of $8 instead of $32. And considering brown sugar is $2.19 a bag at Aldi, I'm calling that a win. Zero regrets. And then, of course, I had to get my cream. This was $5.99 at Publix today. And I would have maybe made it to this weekend by hook or by crook without my cream, but I was completely out of wet cat food. The cat food came to $18, $14 right here. And I set myself a limit for groceries for the entire month of January, a limit of $20. The eggs at Publix today, the cheapest dozen that I saw, $5.99. And now I know they're high everywhere right now, but Publix is always at least $1 higher than anywhere on eggs. So I figured if I go to Aldi or something, I can probably get them for $4 a dozen instead of $6. That's the plan. So Saturday, I ran to St. Lucie West doing several errands, and I popped into Sprouts because I hadn't been in there in quite some time. I figured, it was like 11 o'clock Saturday morning. Didn't think I'd have any luck at all, but I did manage to find a couple of things. 2 bags of Brussels sprouts and 2 bags of asparagus, and these were each $1.25. So I got all 4 of these for $5 and I was thrilled. And here's my little receipt. And if you add that to my Publix run, I'm at $19. Well, then Winn Dixie is right next door to my gym. So I popped into Winn Dixie just to see what their prices were. And I couldn't believe I managed to find this good quality of eggs on sale for $3.99. So I had to get those. I was completely out of eggs. And then I was really shocked because Winn Dixie is a very pricey store. And of course, I'm completely out of broccoli, my love. They had a big bunch of broccoli for $1.50, you guys. That's like half price of what I would have found anywhere. So I did get into this last night, Saturday night, and cooked up about half of that because I just wanted some green veg. I think I'm at like $23.50 for the month. I'll put it up here on the screen. So just a little bit over the $20 I told myself I'd hold to for the month. So that's it for my January supply run so far. Hopefully I can stay tough and not give in to any more shopping at all between now and the end of the month. So now let's talk about the meal prepping plans I have for the remainder of January. I've got kind of a two-pronged focus. First, I really want to try to increase my protein intake. The gurus say you should go for a gram for every pound of ideal body weight. Well, my ideal body weight is 140 pounds because I am 5'8". I have an athletic frame. So 140 for me is height and weight, which I don't weigh right now, which is a large part of why I want to increase my protein so that hopefully I'll crowd out all the crud I shouldn't be eating and get some more muscle tone going on and, help that skin and hair and yada, yada. So with that in mind, I want to go over my meats bins with you guys and maybe even a quick dig out in my deep freezer, although I'm trying to avoid getting anything out of there. I'll share with you here in a minute what I might need to be digging in the deep freezer for. And then the second prong approach, kind of going back to that video I put up a few days ago, you may have seen that, where I talked about in a pantry challenge, we should really focus on using up things that are overstocked, older. So I will be focusing on those categories as well as trying to get in a lot of protein. So let me go over with you what my game plan is, take a look at those meat bits and bites bins and see what I can come up with for about 8 days worth of meal plan. So before we start looking in the meat bits and bites bin, let's talk about some of these use it up items that I have identified here that I want to focus on in the next 2 weeks. You may have seen, early November, I bought 3 pomegranates for $10 at Publix and then proceeded to forget all about them. And I looked down at my pantry cart yesterday and saw, oh my goodness, wrinkly pomegranates that I wasn't sure were even salvageable. But I wasn't going to refuse to even try. So I cut one open here, and it's been a hot minute since I'm filming, but these looked really juicy when I cut it open. So I'm going to throw all of these in a bag and see if I can pound some juice out of them because I don't have any juice on hand. We'll see how that goes. And then back to the list here. If you saw my kickoff video, I had a big bag of carrots that were still okay, but starting to grow roots. I've managed to get through half of those. I still have a carton of plain yogurt and vanilla yogurt that need to be used up. They're both now expired. The halloumi cheese, which is I think 3 or 4 months expired. And then the overstocks, pudding, cans of cream soup, that giant jar of peanut butter protein powder, and chocolate protein powder. I need to open that can of almond butter and see if it's still good. And I also want to try to use up some coconut flour and some graham crackers. Now let's dig out those meat bits and bites bins and see what I can come up with on my game plan for feeding myself the next 2 weeks. All right, so if you're new to my channel, thank you and welcome. If you're returning, thank you and welcome back. These are my meat bits and bites bin and whole packages of meats that are from my side-by-side. And I'm going to have a dig through first the bits and bites bin because I really want to get things used up there as much as I can. But, I also want to enjoy my food and get a lot of protein in. So I'll probably end up with a combination of things coming out of both of these. But let's start with this bits and bites bin. I'm going to have a fast dig through that and see what appeals. I am now turkeyed out, so that's a no. I have this ham in here from last March. It's, just a quarter, I guess you'd call it a quarter of a half of a ham. What is that, an eighth of a ham? They haven't had any ham in months, and that sounds delicious. Okay, this is half a package of peppered bacon. That's perfect to use in those Brussels sprouts. I think I'm going to go from this bin now to the main bin. Oh, let's have a look-see at this big boy. This is a lot of packages of various kinds of meats, and a lot of this has been in here quite a while. I definitely have not had any beef since Christmas when my son made the smoked brisket. He's so good at it. I wish I had some of that right now. I think what I might make are some meatballs since we're having a lot of football this weekend and next weekend. I will use, this is 20 ounces, to make up some barbecue meatballs, and they hold up really well. And I may end up putting half of them in the freezer for down the road, which is how I end up with a Bits and Bites bin. For my salads this week at work, I'm thinking I might make a green goddess or a quinoa salad. And I think I'll just cook up a bunch of chicken breasts and roast them with, lemon pepper, 1.87 pounds. One of these chicken breasts will probably end up in the Bits and Bites bin. Yeah, so we'll go with these meats for this week, and I'll get these bins put back, and then I'm going to pull out the veggie bin. So we've got our veggie Bits and Bites bin and our bags of veggies bin, plus these two items I want to use up that I got at Sprouts. So back to my high protein game plan. I saw a YouTuber today doing high protein meal prepping, and she did something she called a Santa Fe rice bake. And that sounded amazing. I'll put the recipe up here so you can see the ingredients. But what makes it high protein is she uses homemade chicken broth, yogurt, and cottage cheese. So this is going to end up being kind of cheesy, very savory, comforting rice casserole, if you will, which I think sounds great to have barbecue meatballs on the side of. But back to my high protein rice bake. Instead of making it Santa Fe flavored, which as you can see from the spices, it calls for taco seasoning, green chilies, and whatnot. And while that sounds delicious, and I may very well make that flavor profile down the road, I think for this week I want to keep it simple. And I'm going to use this recipe, but I'm going to leave out the taco seasoning and just go with more of a very basic flavor so that I can cube up this ham and put that in the rice, and that is going to give it a lot of flavor itself. Now, in addition to the rice bake, I think I want to do a veggie stir fry with a little Asian profile to it. So let me pull some veg for the stir fry. Little ginger, goodness knows I need to use some of that. Oh, a little red pepper. Why not give it a little spice? I'm mostly down to just, jalapenos and ginger and some sun-dried tomatoes in this veggie bin now. So I'm not going to be able to pull a lot out of this for a stir fry, but I want to take out what I can. A little bit of frozen broccoli. Okay, I think that's it for my, I'm sorry guys, for my veggie bin. I have about half a package, 3/4 a package, and a whole package of these. So I don't need to buy any of those anytime soon. Good, because I love those things. All right, now a little more veg for the stir fry here. Now let's talk big mamba jamba here. Vegetable medley, broccoli, carrots, and cauliflower. Boy, this has been in here a long time. Let's see when it expired. I know I got it at Sprouts for like 25 cents. All right, so it expired October of 23. Soy sauce will help hide any maybe freezer burn taste. So we'll go broccoli heavy, zucchini, a little red pepper, and then got some riced cauliflower, green beans, which I had green beans last week, cauliflower gnocchi, little corn, and a bag of mixed veggies. And that's it for my veggie bin and my side-by-side. I do have a couple veggie bins out in my freezer, but I don't think I really need anything other than peppers. And I have, a fresh onion that I'll use in my veggie stir fry. So let's go have a dig around in my deep freezer. And I also want to find some, I think I have one package of chicken thighs left that I'm going to boil to make some chicken broth, because I used all of my homemade broth. All right, it's going to be noisy out here, maybe a little dark, but you guys have to come with me, suffer through the freezer dig. Because, we all like seeing in each other's deep freezers, huh? My veggie bins are hiding under these bins. Ah, good. That wasn't too painful. Ooh, I think these are peppers, you guys. Bless me for buying those. Let's see when they expired. Oh, hey, look at that. June of 25, so they're not that old. Yay. And then the other thing I was thinking I'd snag out here if I still had some was, yes, edamame for my quinoa salad. Oh, look at that. I put a little dent in there. Woohoo! That was successful digging. Now, more digging. Let's see if we can find some chicken thighs. All the good things in life are hiding in the deep freezer. Okay. The deep freezer challenge is real. So I had to take the basket that was sitting on top here out so that I could get to my chicken basket, which I have not seen in months. And yay, right on top is this clearance package of chicken thighs, which is what I was hoping to find back from last summer. So a year and a half. But one thing I forgot I had in here, and I'm so excited to see. So these are breaded chicken chunks, and I'm going to grab those just while I'm down here doing the dig and throw those in the side by side for down the road. Because I don't want to do another big dig for a while. That's cardio, you guys. So here's what I pulled from the deep freezer. These chicken chunks, which are going in the side by side for down the road, probably football snacks next weekend. The edamame for my quinoa salad, the peppers for my stir fry, the sausage for a breakfast dish next weekend, and then these chicken thighs to make some broth with. My hair is worse for digging in the freezer, but let's go dig in the pantry now for some of the items I need to round out these dishes. So let's go do a little pantry shopping. I wish I were officially a homesteader with a bunch of home canned foods that so many people show. That would be lovely. So this is my pasta basket, so to speak. I got to thinking, you know, with that veggie stir fry, just to mix things up, I'm going to have a ham rice bake, meatballs, and salad with chicken on it for lunch. So I thought maybe one other dish to go with the veggie stir fry. And because I'm trying to focus on protein and use things up, I have this black bean spaghetti, which is an excellent source of protein, which is why I bought it. And there are 4 servings per container, which is a 2-ounce serving. One serving has 190 calories, and look at that, 25 grams of protein and a lot of potassium, which I really like. So that's a real win. Let's hope it tastes good. I've never tried it. It's been in my pantry for a while now. Let's see if I can find an expiration date. June of 26, so that's good. So he's going in here. And then I also need some quinoa, which is over here in my specialty basket. There we go. Let's see when this bad boy expired. I'm not sure if that's June or January of 2024, but it's, you know, it's a grain. We're going to assume it's still good. Let's get out a can of this cream of soup, because that's on my goals list of overstocked things. Since I'm doing ham in that rice, let's go with cream of bacon, right? Why not? Let's check the expiration date. July of 2024. Definitely time to get on it. I want to do some kind of dessert that's high protein with that chocolate protein powder. So I am hoping I have some chocolate pudding in here. Let's see. Chocolate. Sugar-free. Yay. Yay me. Expired when? Oh, hey, we're ahead of the game. But since I have 2, let's check the other one. Just to make sure I'm using the oldest first, right? Oh, yeah, I must have. Okay, so. Wait, here's another chocolate one. But that is not sugar-free, so no. There's one other thing that I want to go with the chocolate protein pudding idea I've got going. Who knows if these will still be good. These have been in here a long time. I think the girls were still here when I bought these. Oh man, we'll see. Those are going to need a sniff test. July of 2020. All right, our shopping is complete. Now let's have a look-see at all of these ingredients I've pulled from the fridge, freezer, and pantry. And let's talk about what I'm making and how much protein approximately will be in each of the servings of these dishes. I'll put it up on the screen as we go. First up, we've got Brussels sprouts and the peppered bacon. That's a side dish. Not a lot of protein, but every little bit counts. And then I'll be doing my quinoa salad topped with chicken for my office lunches during the week. And that will have a lot of protein in it, 41 grams total. Next up will be the high protein rice casserole. The barbecue meatballs will have the beef plus the cheddar cheese and a little bit of protein from the breadcrumbs and egg. And depending on how much barbecue sauce you use, somewhere between 30 and another 90 calories for that. Now the veggie stir fry, you guys, I'm not going to try to calculate the protein on this, but figure somewhere between 3 to 5 grams of protein for the vegetables themselves. But let's talk about this fabulous black bean spaghetti. Just the noodles alone will have 24 grams of protein. And the peanut butter powder I'll use to make the sauce, about 6 tablespoons. That has quite a bit of protein in it as well. So the two combined will be about 30 grams of protein for only 230 calories. And you can't go wrong with that. I sure hope I like this stuff. Now let's talk about dessert because that's everybody's favorite, right? The chocolate protein pudding. Now I am not going to include in my calorie and protein count these little graham cracker pie crusts because I don't know if they'll taste good, so I may not be eating those. But for such a small amount of calories, 60 calories, you get 14 grams of protein. Yum! I'll be cooking off camera because this video would be way too long otherwise, but I hope you enjoyed this. So I'm getting ready to throw all of this stuff into the oven that we've just gone over, and hopefully it all turns out well. I'll let you know in the next video because I'm not going to have time to squeeze that in. And speaking of time, I just wanted to share with everyone, it took me a total of 25 minutes, including pulling things out of the fridge, to get all of this stuff prepped and into the oven. Now I still have to make the rice and the salad, so call that another 30 minutes. But an hour of meal prepping to not have to cook for a solid 7 days, I'm calling that a win. Well guys, just to wrap things up and round it off, back to the beginning where I said I wanted to get 140 grams of protein a day. Let me put up on screen here a look at a day of eating. The one thing I did not cover earlier in the video is what I do for breakfast. And especially during the week, my go-to that I rely on is, a form of protein powder, collagen, and my commuter coffee. That's around 25-30 grams right there. And then late in the morning, I like to have a scoop of yogurt with some of this Premier Protein cereal, which I'll put up on the screen here for you. That stuff is surprisingly healthy for a processed cereal. Never mind the amount of protein you get is fantastic, right? So I'm just sharing with you for anyone who's not aware of it because I apparently am really late to the party. They've been making that stuff since 2021 and I just found it a few months ago. So that is definitely a hack if you're trying to increase your protein. Get it in early in the morning like the gurus say, front load it, and then it's much easier to hit that number by the end of the day. So as you can tell from this table of meals, I got a total of 154 grams of protein in for only 1,260 calories, which I think is fantastic. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea if you're trying to go for a higher protein diet. And it's all tasty. That's the important part, right? Well, that's a wrap for this week's meal planning. I hope it gave you all some ideas, maybe a little inspo. I appreciate you stopping by and spending some time with me. I'll see y'all in the next video.